Donald Trump's trial on the mishandling or mass theft of classified documents now has a timeline. It's been pushed back by Judge Aileen Cannon, who was put into the judiciary by someone. I'm not sure who. But anyway, the Trump team wanted the trial to be delayed. They wanted it to be delayed until after the 2024 election. Well, they did not succeed in that. But it will be pushed back until May 20th, 2024. And that means that it's going to be happening before the RNC, before the general election, assuming it's not pushed back anymore. Of course, the Trump team is going to continue to try to do that. And Aileen Cannon has now already shown that she is perhaps amenable to changing the schedule according to what they want. But it will be happening before the Republican nominee is officially chosen.
So Judge Aileen Cannon did a very questionable ruling in favor of Trump before. She's a Trump appointee. She was not the most qualified of the candidates that were put into that position, and she was rebuked by an appellate court saying that she was very wrong on the substance of her decision, on the earlier decision when she was trying to help, well, when she ruled in favor of Trump. Let's not put intent into it, okay? In this case, I want to look with a fine-tooth comb to see, is this an outrageous decision by her to delay the trial, or is it relatively normal? And my conclusion is relatively normal. So if she had delayed it till after the election, that would have been outrageous. It would have been obviously political, and it would have been an enormously long time to delay it. The prosecution wanted to go in December. That's before the primary voting begins. May, when she put it, is after Super Tuesday, after most of the voting. So she has done Trump an enormous favor. But if you look at all the documents they have to go through and how much a case like this normally takes in terms of time, May is not a crazy number for a crazy date to put the trial. Like, could we have come to a different conclusion and put it in February or March or April or something along those lines, or maybe even December as the prosecution wanted? Yeah, it's definitely possible. But I didn't get a sense from the facts that it was so outrageous that she was clearly trying to help him. It does help him because the general election is not his main concern at this point. The primary is, and this puts it not completely past the primary, but past the most important parts of the primary.
Yeah, all good points, Cenk. Certainly there will be several states that would have voted before this May trial date. But the judge did kind of give both sides, if you want to look at it that way, what they were asking for. The prosecution, again, wanted it in December. The Trump team wanted it after November. So she kind of gave, in the middle. And the documents, 1.1 million pages of records. That is a whole lot of documentation to sift through. So we'll see how it goes. Definitely, former President Donald J. Trump will play this again to his advantage. There was also in the reporting that his team is touting this as a win, and in some ways, it is a win for them. As Cenk, as you pointed out, every other Republican that is in the primary so far, as of today, in July, just trouncing them, and DeSantis, who at this point.
My fear in making it in May is, look, there's no date that you can set that will stop the Trump team and his supporters from saying that it's designed to impact the outcome of the election. I understand that. But I feel like impacting the outcome of the primary is not as damning as impacting the result of the general election. And assuming if this trial takes 1, 2, 3 months, you're now talking about a good chunk of the actual battle against Joe Biden directly. And I feel like they are gonna stress that so heavily. This is obviously political. They're trying to ruin us. They're trying to take attention away from the convention where he gets coronated. I feel like they're gonna jump all over that. They are, as Nina said, considering this a win. A spokesperson for the campaign said today's order by Judge Cannon is a major setback to the DOJ's crusade to deny President Trump a fair legal process. The extensive schedule allows President Trump and his legal team to continue fighting this empty hoax. And I'm not a lawyer or whatever, but what are you talking about? What do you mean continue? Like, what are you gonna do between now and May? You're gonna hide the remaining documents better. You're gonna find better proof of his psychic capacity to declassify documents. They haven't been making a legal case in his defense this entire time. The defense has been public relations. It's been him going on podcasts or whatever and saying Presidential Records Act, something socks, I can do whatever I want. I honestly don't know. I get that the prosecution has to go through a lot of documents. I don't know what the defense of Donald Trump is going to be spending the time between now and May 20th doing.
No, look, just clarity here, last thoughts. Number one, Donald Trump almost can't win this case. This is the one case where they have overwhelming evidence. On the other cases, they have excellent evidence. But this one is so overwhelming, even Republican pundits on air were like, we give up. I don't know how to defend this. He's definitely guilty, right? And so, I mean, they said that all over Fox News. Jonathan Turley said it. And I'm paraphrasing on the definitely guilty, but they were all like, this is damning. I don't know how in the world he's gonna get it. So he doesn't have a legal defense. He has a political defense. He's just run out the clock. Even if he's convicted, if he wins in November, he's like, that's a get out of jail free card because I just pardoned myself, right? So that's his main defense is, who cares about the goddamn law? Republicans elect me and then we'll get to pretend that I didn't break the law when we all know I did, right? So, but for Trump, overall, this is a win. And that's why they're gloating. Because if I'm Trump, I'm more worried about the primary than I am the general election. I know the way Trump thinks, and he's not entirely wrong about this, where he thinks, I get into the general election and I'm up against Biden. Biden might just implode. Like he might just, I don't know, just fall down and never get up. I just got to get to the general election, right? So for him, this politically, I think is a huge win. But Republicans, before you celebrate, the people who might lose the most here are Republicans, because you're not going to know the weight of all their voters are not going to know the weight of all the evidence against them. They're not going to get to see it with their own eyes, and they're going to be like, oh, we got this, let's go with Trump, right? And well, number one, Biden might beat him, and there's a poll out now saying that Biden's got a decent sized lead, but that goes back and forth. Biden could easily lose, and I'm super worried he's going to lose. But by the way, what if it isn't Biden? They're running against a fill in the blank, who cares, right? Just someone who isn't going to collapse. And then during the entire election cycle, we're all judging to what degree the Republican candidate is a criminal. That could be an absolute disaster for the Republican Party. And they're walking right into it. So, okay. I mean, for me, I'd rather have Trump out, period. Before the primaries, before the general election, before anything. But Republicans, be careful what you wish for, because this could turn into a worst case scenario for you.
Yeah. And what might help Trump doesn't necessarily help everybody else to that point too. So they should be careful. They don't have the 9 lives or the quadrillion lives it seems that Trump has. And the only court he is concerned about, which is really our summation here, is the court of public opinion. And that whole thing that you read, John, that what you just read from the news source, crusade, that word stuck out to me because his lawyers use that term very deliberately. The Republicans are really good at stoking emotion, and the word crusade against Donald J. Trump, that's just like pouring gasoline on the fire. And his voters are already more animated than any other base of voters in this country. So it doesn't take much to set them off. So whether this was in December or whether it's in May, President or former President Donald J. Trump has people right where he wants them, because regardless, I think he sees a win no matter what, because it's kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't. He is going to say they're coming after me, which he's saying that right now. And if in fact this is the nail in the symbolic coffin, he's going to say, see, I told you. This is what Democrats do. They're trying to crush me. They're trying to kill me, and that's going to continue to animate his voters. So he may have a win, but Cenk, your point about everybody else on that Republican ticket might not fare so well. My last point, voters in this country are disgruntled. They really don't want either one of these candidates. The national polling shows it very clearly that Democratic voters do not want to see Joe Biden running, and Republican voters don't want Trump. They don't want a rematch between these two men. So here we are.
Yeah, and my last point is, Look, remember, guys, so this case, the one that was delayed from the special prosecutor, is a federal case, and he can pardon himself. But the indictment in New York is a state case, and the potential upcoming indictment in Georgia that we reported on earlier today is a state case. So there is an insane scenario still possible that Trump wins the presidency, pardons himself from the federal cases, but the president has to go to prison in Georgia or New York. So, welcome to America 2023. These are the insane times we live in.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.